Joe Hopkins here, and today I'm gonna give a tip or two from my own personal experience about how to learn and get good at music theory. This isn't a class. This is just, if you're watching videos and reading books on it and taking, guitar classes, keep doing that. This is just how to get, how to make it work for you, how to really learn it. Not just learn it, but learn it. And I've found in my life the biggest part of this are two things, right? One, it has to be fun or you're not going to do it. And that's nothing on any classes you're taking. You have to keep it fun. You have to do it in a way that you enjoy it. And I'll give you some tips on that. And two, context. You have to learn something, you have to do it. You have to put it into a context and be doing it, right? So one of the best things to learn right off the bat, before you do anything else, and this is because most of us, the majority of us, play pretty similar music. Like me, I really love blues, rock, a lot of metal, country, all that kind of stuff, right? Modern, popular music. So the first thing you want to learn, right, it's a good place to start, is the pentatonic scale. And we all know it. I don't need to, teach it. Yeah, everybody knows the pentatonic scale. And some of the best reasons why you should start there is, one, it's easy to learn. It's the bare bones of so many other things. And you can learn so many other scales and things off of that. It's incredibly versatile like that. You want to do a major scale, minor scale, whatever mode. Once you know the pentatonic, and the whole point is you learn that, and you know something that's fun to play that fits in with all the different types of music, and then you can start adding and subtracting notes and seeing where it takes you. And I'll tell you what I mean, because the thing is, I've noticed a lot of people on my channel, they leave comments telling me you do a lot of pentatonic stuff. It's because that's the music I play. I really love that kind of stuff. I started out with classical guitar. I learned other stuff, but the pentatonic is so much fun. And that's the whole point, keep it fun. But you add other things into it. The best way to learn the music theory is you read the book, you take the class, you learn the scale, you learn the things you're trying to learn, and then you apply them. If you don't apply them, you're not going to remember them. I've done videos where I'm playing on jam tracks. I've done some videos where I recommend playing with jam tracks. I recommend it primarily because it gives you a chance to take the new things you learned and apply it in context. You know what I mean? Bring up a jam track, try some of your stuff on that you just learned. Bring up another jam track, try it on that. And you'll find that different jam tracks, different grooves and chord progressions, different things work with them. And different of the things you're learning work with those different ones. And try out genres that you're not even really that into, just so you can try some things, because some of that stuff will carry over to what you are into. But I'll show you what I mean, right? You learn your pentatonic, and you start adding notes, right? Let's say you want to do a minor scale or a major. It's the same depending on your key. Well, I'm throwing blues notes in there, but But you get the idea. I'm playing like an A minor, and instead of just doing the pentatonic riffs, I could throw in a little bit of the, throwing a little bit of that stuff. The point is, you learn that major minor scale there. You got your minor scale. If you want to remember it, you have to do it. So you go back to your jam track, and you throw in some of those notes, and you see where they sound good. Then you bring up another jam track, throw in some of those notes, see where it sounds good. Because now you're also learning it in context. You're getting an idea of where do these notes go, right? And you start trying different things. And even outside of whatever class or book you're doing, try different notes, try different scales. You got the Try that. A little bit of that stuff. And throw those notes into your jam track, right? When you're playing, practice them. Mostly because jamming is fun, right? Once again, get good at the pentatonic first, so that if you start getting bored, you can just go back to the and have fun with it. And then every now and then, throw in a note or two. Throw in a couple things and see how it feels. And I found that really helps. That helped me learn a lot of this stuff. Like I said, I knew a lot of it, but then learning how to use it, that made all the difference. Now it's fun. Now I want to play these little licks and different notes whenever I'm doing something, and it's more enjoyable. And of course, then you start learning it in different positions. Where are these notes up here? Where are these notes up here? Where are these notes down here? And experiment with it. Don't get outside what you're being taught and just try stuff. You put on that track and you play along with it and you throw in some notes and see if they work. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's like, ooh, that sounds bad. But every now and then you hit something, you're like, ooh, that sounds good. And you experiment, and a lot of times what you end up with is you don't entirely know what you're doing, right? You can't say, oh, this is Mixolydian, this is Aeolian. But you learn what sounds good and you start naturally doing that. And you might even practice the same lick a bunch of times. I started doing that with a lot of the arpeggios, you know what I mean? Throwing in, I like the way they sound, so I want to work this lick in, you know? So, yeah, you just practice it over and over again. Helps if you got a track playing until you get it sounding good. And now you have a little something, right? That sounds pretty good. Try stuff. Experiment. The thing is, everybody gets concerned about learning the right modes and how to play in a mode and this and that. It's all down to what sounds good and what's actually fun to play. If you can learn some of the fun stuff, then by all means do it. And I find it works really well if you learn a little bit at a time too. That way you can digest it as you go. A lot of these classes, they're throwing a lot of stuff at you all at once, you know, or whole scales, that kind of stuff. Maybe take it in chunks, you know, learn a little bit, then try it out, play it for a little bit, then learn a little bit, then play it for a little bit. One of the nice things about starting with the pentatonic is it can be the bare bones of just about anything. It's a good place to start because it's easy to learn and it's fun to play, and then you start adding and subtracting from there. You take that scale and you add some stuff, and then you play around with it, and then you change something and you play around with it. And then you could try going back and forth between those kinds of things. You know what I mean? Another thing that can be fun to do is you take that same scale and try playing it in different positions over the same track. You might be an A minor, right? Try playing that same scale in the pentatonic scale in that E position and see how that sounds. See if that sounds good over that A minor, because sometimes it does. Now, you got to begin and end on different notes. You start learning that over time. You use your ear. Listen, where should I end this lick? Where should I begin this lick? And that's modes. When they talk about modes, a lot of times what you're doing is you're simply playing the scale you know over a key that you wouldn't normally play it over. You know, isn't the first thing you think of. You're playing over a different key. But you're beginning and ending on the notes in the key you're in instead of, you know, yeah, if that makes sense. But a lot of it is experimentation. I can explain it all day, but when you do it, it clicks. It makes sense. So, I mean, you know, I hope that makes a little bit of sense there, because the best way to learn, the best way that I've learned what to play and what not to play is by actually doing it. It also helps a lot of times to learn some licks and then make them your own. A lot of YouTube videos on that. You hear a lick in a song that you really like, look up how to play it, learn it, and then kind of modify it a bit. You're not gonna play it just like Jimmy Page or just like Eddie Van Halen. You're not gonna play it just like them. And it'd be pointless to. There's already a Jimmy Page. There's already an Eddie Van Halen. Well, there was an Eddie Van Halen. Anyway, make it yours. Play it a little bit different. Do something different. But learn the lick and then modify it. Now it's your lick now. And a lot of times you'll find that it's not what you would have done on your own. And that can be really useful. And that's also, you're learning more theory than you think you are when you do these kinds of things. Because a lot of these people are doing stuff that isn't intuitive for you. It was intuitive for them maybe, but not for you. We're all different. So yeah, learn your pentatonic and start adding and subtracting notes. And like I said, just make up a scale. All the scales exist, right? So you're not, it's not a scale that doesn't exist if you're just making it up. It exists. There's even the scale, like the chromatic scale, with like all the notes. But just make something up and see how it sounds, you know? Yeah, I'm kind of in a thing I'm doing there. But the point is just add in notes and see how it sounds. And then you've learned something. And then when you watch that video later and they say, this is thus and such a scale, and you're looking at it, you're like, oh, I tried that. I kind of already know some of that. That's pretty helpful too. It also helps to, like I said, learn the different positions. And, you know, you can get out a scale book, or you can just kind of feel it and look for the notes in the different places on the neck. It helps if I like scale books because I can actually set up on a music stand and look at it, because I don't know all the scales, and even scales I knew, I don't remember all of them. I can't remember everything. I'm fucking old, man. And a lot of people can't remember anything even when they're young. So it's nice to have that book. The whole point, though, of practicing, putting it in context, you remember it more when your muscles remember it. And the more you practice it, the more your fingers remember what you're doing. You don't have to think up here. You think with these then. You know, at first it's here. Practice it until it's here. And then you know the stuff. Because, yeah, taking a class is great, but if you don't actually practice it, your fingers won't remember it. And that's what matters. And then you can just kind of start throwing in notes. How does this sound? Yeah, your fingers start remembering where some of these other notes are. And definitely, like I said, start with that pentatonic. I don't know how many, I haven't taken too many classes in the last, like, I don't know, 35 years. So I don't know how many of them start out with the pentatonic. The one when I took classical guitar, they start out with the major, C major scale. But my dad taught me the pentatonic, and I like starting with that just because it's so simple, it's so easy to learn, it's so fun, and it fits with all modern music. You can do pentatonic licks in anything. And when you start listening to it, all those fancy guitarists that do all these crazy things, all these modes, they're throwing in pentatonic licks too. Everybody falls back on it at some point because it just works. You know what I mean? So start with that, and then just experiment. That's the biggest thing. Experiment and practice with things. You know what I mean? If you play with other people, that's great, but I do recommend jam tracks because you can noodle around all you want without the other band members getting bored. Because that's boring if you're just playing something while some dude noodles. With a jam track, and you can go between tracks, you can pick different genres, different keys, different sounds, and try different things. And you're going to find real quick that you know, half diminished scale or whatever you learned that sounds really great over metal stuff doesn't sound great over all metal stuff. And then you find that, well, this part of it sounds good, but this part of it doesn't, and you can modify it. And learning it in context means that now when you play with people, you know where to go, you know what to do. You start to get to where you can hear what they're doing and go, oh, I know what would work with that. I got a pretty good idea for that sound, or I got a pretty good idea for this chord progression, what to play over it. And it makes a difference. It all comes down to experience and practice, and you start to get a feel for it. And when you do it like I'm saying, where you add in a little at a time, noodle around, try things, experiment, play with the jam tracks, like I said, it's fun, and it really feels like you're discovering things. It feels like a treasure hunt. You're looking for that gold in there. There's treasure in there, and you got to find it. And it makes it a lot of fun. And when it's fun, you're more likely to do it. You're definitely more likely to do it than just, you know, practicing a scale, you know. I flubbed it at the end there. My pinky doesn't feel good today. You get them days. But yeah, you could practice your scales all day long, but unless you're doing it in context, it doesn't click and it's not as much fun. Have fun with it. Practice. Actually practice with a track or with a band or with a friend or whatever you're doing, but actually practice it. It makes it a really big difference. And remember, this is the last thing I'm going to give you, and it is very important. There is no right way to do this, okay? I mean, if you're taking classical guitar like I did at first, yes, there's a right way to do it because you have to do it that way to hit those notes the way they're supposed to sound. But when you're playing rock and roll, when you're playing pop music, you're playing whatever modern type of music, there's no right way to go about this, especially if you're with your own band. It's your sound, your way of doing it, whatever works for you. That's the way you want to do it. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. The only right and wrong notes are the notes that sound good or don't sound good with specifically what you're doing. If it sounds good, it's right. If it feels comfortable for you doing it, it's right. You find a way that works better for you, then that's the right way. Whatever way you're doing, you find the way that works for you. The most innovative guitarists are the ones that were doing things that weren't the right way, but it became the right way because they did it and it sounded good. So go out there, have fun. Don't worry about rules. There are no rules. Same thing with chords. I'll tell you the same thing. We all know our chords, what chords go with what, Nashville number system. Fuck all that shit. Just try chords and try different ones. What sounds good together? Does this go with this? Does that go with that? You know, you can make anything sound right if you mess with it enough. You know, a little sloppy there, but whatever, man. Whatever. I've been chugging coffee all day. I'm like jittery as hell. Anyway, yeah, man. The liquid meth, baby. Don't do drugs. But experiment. There's nothing wrong, right? Every chord goes with every other chord if you do it right. There's a way to make it work. And just try it. Don't follow rules. There are no rules. It's music theory, buddy. Theory. The music fact is, does it sound good? And I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, baby. Bye-bye.